Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for round number 15 of Season 6, Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Carmentis. I'll be taking you through proceedings here on a Saturday evening, as per usual. And joining me in the commentary box alongside me tonight is, of course, my fellow D3 commentator and a man who is enjoying his chicken balls right now, Mr. Jake Muttit, otherwise known as Killer Blue. Jake, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Round 15, where did all the time go? It's flown by, hasn't it? Been an absolute pleasure of a season. But here we are, 3 races left, 3 horrific tracks. We've got Azerbaijan, get that one out of the way for you. One of the worst tracks, and Aidan wishes it could be blown off the face of the earth. And then we've got Japan, which is one of my least favourites. And then we've got Brazil, which everyone seems to love, but I don't understand why. But I'm sure, terrible though this track is, we're going to get some action. We're going to have a race of attrition. We're going to have lots of crashes. Pinning my hopes on Peter Gillis and Ariel Calvin this evening. But I think we're going to get a good one.
Yeah, definitely think so. It could be a bit of a chaotic race, like you say. Baku always seems to throw out some sort of chaos. I fully agree with you on two of your points there. I don't agree with you with Japan. I think you're just a little bit scared of the track, if I'm personally honest. But yeah, I fully agree with you that this track, yeah, absolutely terrible. And likewise with Brazil, I don't know what all the fuss is about. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one tonight. Of course, many things that we're going to be talking about this evening. Of course, the different parts of this track, the castle section, of course, some of the parts at the end of the lap as well. That 2 kilometre long run from turn 16 all the way towards turn 1, obviously a massive overtaking opportunity. And of course, we've got the championship to look at tonight. And coming into tonight, it's pretty much a formality, you've got to say, Jake, isn't it? Looking at it, for Brendan to win the championship, he's got to finish at least 6th place. If he finishes any lower than 6th, then Tinkan, who is his closest championship rival at the moment, has to either win or finish 2nd. So you've got to say, going into it, Brendan can just take it easy, and it could be title wrapped up tonight.
Yeah, you just got to keep out of the walls. Easier said than done here, but if he finishes top 6, he's only failed to do that 4 times this season. Bahrain when he DNF'd, Spain he was 7th, Hungary when he picked up a point, and when he picked up 2 at Belgium. Both of those come through force errors. Otherwise, he finishes on the podium, so I see no reason to think that Brendan can't do this evening. He's in cracking form, 3 podiums in a row. Had a great race last week at Mexico. I was singing his praises in the last few laps. So, yeah, as you say, a formality. I can't see it going too wrong for him. He's good at keeping his nose clean generally. But we will see. We will see indeed.
Yeah, like I said, we will see. The third man in the championship, Karen Rubb, unfortunately cannot attend tonight, which is a real shame. So Karen Rubb's hopes of a title are now officially done. But I mean, we'll talk about Karen Rubb at some point, probably in this qualifying or throughout this race as well. He's had a brilliant season as well. We'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do in the final 2 rounds of the championship. Beyond the top 3 in the championship, there is a few good battles going on further down in the points as well. Funky Chicken's now moved up into 4th place. He's on 112 points after another podium last time out, his 3rd podium in 4 races, and his 4th top 4 finish in a row. Rikurik on the podium last time out as well. He's up to 5th in the standings, just ahead of Luke. Then it's Brent, J. Cole, RJ, Calvin that rounds off the top 10 at the moment, and then a 35-point gap from Calvin back to Chill, who's in 11th. So still a good battle going on for those further down, but it's looking like Rikurik and Funky Chicken are the main protagonists for that battle for P4. They've just been incredibly consistent all season long, haven't they?
Remarkably consistent. Funky Chicken especially, he's always there or thereabouts. I say that every week, but it's because he is. He never seems to have an off-race, Funky Chicken, really. He's always hangs around the front 3. You mentioned his teammate there, Chill. Chill nearly crashed in the castle on his outlap, which would not be out of character. We've seen Chill bottle qualifying into the wall on more than one occasion this season. I think Imola, he threw it out toes on his first effort. So he's going to be the first man to start a lap here. But yeah, Funky Chicken and Rikurik, outstanding performances this season. I think Rikurik's drive last week was one of my favourites this season. He did such a good job. And Darry has picked up a grid penalty for a clash with Peter Gillis. I said Peter Gillis would be involved in something, and he already has been. 5 places for Darry.
Yeah, that's a shame for Darry, unfortunately, who's had good qualifying form as of recently. He's actually just crashed coming out of turn 16, so there's our first crash in this session so far. He is out of the running before he's even managed to start a lap, sadly, so Darry will start at the very back of the field. We're running on board with Chill, though, as he takes us through the first lap around the city streets of Baku, I should say. Get my words out in the end, as he's heading towards the end of the first sector. One of the longest sectors on the track, this one. A lot of 90-degree corners as he ends the first sector. Then the 5 and 6 chicane tightens up a little bit on the exit. You don't want to hit the curb on the inside. Chill does hit that curb, but just about gets away with it on the run down towards turn 7. You can cut the inside of this corner quite nicely, and Chill does that and keeps it valid as well, which is nice to see. And then up into the infamous castle section, turn 8 and 9 here, and then it's 10, 11 over the top of the hill, and then turn 12. There are chat limits on the exit of turn 12 this evening. You can run out to that wall and get away with it. We will be monitoring that as the race goes on through 13, and then up towards turn 14, and then 15. Probably one of the most difficult corners on the track here. So easy to outbrake yourself and clatter the wall on the outside. Chill keeps it nice and neat and tidy as he heads to the end of the second sector, and it's a 14.9 by the end of the second sector. We should be seeing times quite a bit faster than that by the end of this session. And now it is flat out all the way to the line. He's going to run through this fast chicane, which is easily flat out if your car is in perfect condition. If it's not, you can spin or you can hit the wall very easily. It will take you straight out of the race. He's gone through the kink of turn 20, opens the DRS, and it's the long run now and up towards the start finish line. He's going to cross the line the first time on the board for Jill. It's a 39.5 in the Aston Martin, but we're expecting times well into the 138s, possibly the very low 38s as well.
Oh, you're more ambitious than me, thinking we're going to get very low 38s, but, well, I'll just write that off. Calvin's on a 38.6 out the door. But you did say Calvin, before we went on air, Calvin is looking very quick here, pole position pace, certainly. I just want to touch on Jekyll. I think Jekyll on his outlap had some kind of spin at turn 4, because he was parked on the exit of that corner for a long time as Chill was approaching him. So, a couple of mistakes already. But we've got some nice laps going in. Not very easy to invalidate here. I think exit of turn 16, exit of turn 12, or inside of turn 12, inside of turn 7. That one you said we could cut as well. Easy, all the easiest invalidations. And but otherwise, I don't think we'll see too many penalties or corner cuts in quali. Brendan, our championship leader, popping in a 39.2. That's very tame first effort, but with what he needs to get that championship under his belt. He's second in League of Europe. It's no wonder he's just going through the motions, just setting in a nice, safe opening lap there. Tin Can's just popped above him on a 38.9.
Yeah, one standout time as well, Rikurik there, P5 for 39.2 on the medium compound tyres. That's a pretty strong lap from him, solid so far. He's still currently sitting in 5th position, so yeah, not a bad lap on the board for Rikurik. Only 6/10 off provisional pole at the moment, so we'll see what he can do when he puts the soft compound tyres on a little bit later. J. Cole's coming towards the end of his lap as well, but it's a 15 flat at the end of the second sector. That is not going to be competitive with those at the front. It's going to be in and around where Chill and RJ are at the moment, in the mid to late 39s when he comes up towards the line. And we'll quickly touch on it now as well. Strategy around this track. You can do a one-stop, you can do a two-stop. It kind of really depends on how well you can do at managing the tyres. It can be pretty difficult around here to manage them. It's fair to say, though, that the soft compound tyres almost immediately at this track just tend to fall away.
Yeah, the fourth or fifth lap on those tyres, the rears just go from you. Of course, a lot of traction zones here, and I was just on board with Dara. They had a big swapper on out of turn 7 on his outlap, but yeah, lots of slow traction zones from those 90-degree corners and turn 7, 16 and 15 as well. Puts a lot of stress through the rear tyre. There's heavily reliant on getting good traction here to get the performance from the car, so it means the track's rear limited, and the rears suffer much more than the front. It's going to be the rear right tyre that starts to go before any of the others. So when those go off, particularly in those fast kinks of 13, 14, and then 17, 18, 19 and 20, they really go. And just ask XL Dillon in EML, because he will tell you how bad they can get through those high-speed kinks. And Dara again had a big moment out of 16. He's really not enjoying the softs, and these are brand new softs, but he nearly binned it for the second time on his outlap there.
Yeah, not enjoying it so far. His Alpine teammate for today, IFR Noah, back in for the first time in a while this season. He's up in 3rd after his second lap on those set of soft compound tyres, so not a bad first effort from Noah, who I think is still yet to score a single point this season, having been a full-time driver for the first 9 rounds of the season, so he'll be looking for his first points tonight. J-Luke's just improved on his medium tyres, but it's still only a 1 minute 40.5 at the moment, so still Rikurik easily, comfortably the fastest medium runner out on the track, and that time at the moment still holding pretty firm inside the top 10, so Rikurik again for the second week in a row looking like he's got some really good pace.
He is, and I like Rick. I don't want to be biased, but I am fond of Rick. He's done a lot for the league, and it's a delight to see him do well. The former D2 champion, of course, and runner-up in D1 as well. He's got quite the legacy in League of Europe and PRL, has Rick, for someone who's middling in Division 3 right now. But I want to see him win a race. He deserves a race win. I said I was impressed with his performance last week at Mexico, and another cracking lap there. The Delta incidentally, between the softs and the mediums, I've heard is about 6/10. So that would put Rick on a par with Calvin if he can replicate that level of performance on the softs, which indeed he is on now. So hopefully we're going to see some second runs coming in. We've got a few drivers on out laps. No one's on a flying lap though, sadly. But yeah, I'm expecting Rick to be right up there with Calvin.
Yeah, definitely. I think he could be right up there, like you say. If you ever want to know why Rick's maybe dropped a couple of divisions, just watch one of his streams or one of his races back. He runs with cockpit cam with basically no HUD on, so he's really immersed himself into the experience of F1. It's brilliant to watch and great to see him, like you say, doing so well as of recent races as well. Dara is coming up towards the line on his first run. J-Luke's gone again on those mediums on his third lap now as Dara crosses the line and goes P9 on 39.6, which is still a second off the times at the top of the sheet. At the moment, the top four separated by 0.3 of a second, then a bit of a gap back to Brendan in fifth. Like you say, Brendan just needed something on the board that he can base himself off of, and then he can improve from there. But unlike we've seen so far this season, it's pretty strung out at the moment amongst the drivers inside the top 10.
Yeah, we've got huge field spread. I mean, 1.5 seconds covers the top 15. Rex, Noah and Tinkan, as it is, are very closely wound. Just a couple of hundreds between them. But yeah, further back, we've got a really big trend. And this isn't a track necessarily where, at least on paper, you'd expect it. You think 90-degree corners are quite simple, but actually they're deceptively tricky, aren't they? I think turn 3 here, I think is one of the hardest corners to nail in the game. And I'm just on board with Brent, who I was going to say, he's had a bit of a quiet run of races lately, and he just had a huge moment through turn 7 towards 8, nearly put it straight in the wall. I've seen 4 or 5 drivers already this session just completely lighting up the rear tyres on traction. I think that's probably a mark of a lack of practice, but a lack of confidence as well. Brent's someone who's usually up there, isn't he? He's had a couple of podiums and a few 4th places this season. We know he's quick, and he just completely extended turn 16 there. But he gets away with it. But no track limits being watched there, so I'm sure that's fine. But yeah, Brent, he's gone off the boil a bit lately, hasn't he? And this lap looks like it's quite a scruffy one as well.
Yeah, been a bit of a shame recently. Like you say, he was battling with Luke for that 4th place, but they've kind of both fallen by the wayside in recent races, unfortunately. Rex is one on a lap at the moment. He's a couple of tenths up at the end of the second sector, crosses the line, and he has gone fastest then. 0.3 of a second he's found, 38.5, just under a tenth faster than Calvin, who is going again, but Calvin is down on his time, so he's going to go again, I think, on the same set of tyres. Chill now goes third. He found 8 tenths on his second lap. That's a good improvement for the Aston Martin man. That's much more like it, more what we were used to seeing from him at the very start of the season, which is nice to see him back up there. Interestingly though, Rakurik on his first lap on the softs, only able to find 0.2 of a second, so maybe a mistake, surely a mistake somewhere across the lap, or maybe he's just struggling to find any confidence in the soft compound tyre. Be interesting to see Tinkan then on a lap at the moment in the Ferrari. He's a 10.5 up in the first sector. We're going to run through him with him in the middle part of the lap. He'll be one of the next people to cross the line. His teammate Luke is actually coming up to the line now. Currently 16th on the grid, crosses the line, goes P6 right behind his teammate. So good improvement from him. I think Peter Gillis will be next to cross the line, and he's gone 12th in the Alfa Romeo. So not a bad lap time. Make that 13th as Brent, I think, was the one that's just improved up into, I believe, 11th position. But yeah, running on board with Tinkan towards the end of the lap. Solid lap so far from Tinkan, but you've got to say at the moment Rex and Calvin look a little bit a cut of dry above the rest as it stands.
They do. They've got a nice little gap. Actually, Tinkan he hit the wall through turn 9, and that's why he's bailed out of this one. But yeah, he hit the wall through 9. It was really good to that point. He was over a 10.5 up through sector 1, and then he nearly drives into the wall again at pit entry. Silly boy. But I've just jumped on board with Noah, and he's now hit the wall at turn 4. So, yeah, a lot of drivers making mistakes, aren't they? Brendan is third, but still adrift of his teammate. Jumped ahead of Chill. Let's have a look who's on a good lap here. I'm not sure anyone is, I think everyone is on in-laps from the looks of things. And, yeah, no one on a fly right now.
No, RJ's just crossed the line, but he is still on the medium compound tyre, down in 13th at the moment. Peter Gillis has just dropped another place behind him. I think Nathan is on a lap in the Haas, so we'll ride with him. He is now taking over that Haas for the rest of the season from Tiago, who has been, well, completely AWOL as of recent rounds. So Nathan in now into this seat for the rest of the season. We'll see what he can do. He's had a few good rounds last time out in Mexico as well. Definitely one of his best performances to date. Finished 4th in the end, 3rd on the road, 4th on penalties by the end of that race. A very solid drive from him. End of the second sector though, a 14.8. Still not really fast enough to be anywhere near the front. And speaking of the front, interesting to see Rex at the top. We mentioned a little bit about him last race, didn't we? That he's had, well, when he first came into this division, he had a really strong start. I remember places like Spain, he had brilliant pace, and then as soon as he pretty much got the full-time seat at Alfa Romeo, he's just never really delivered on it. But yeah, this seems like a much better performance so far from the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, I feel like I've not really noticed Rex since Hungary when he had a somewhat notorious race. He got his elbows out to the extreme there. But yeah, it's nice to see him at the top. It's nice to see, always nice to see someone different other than Brendan, Carbon Rob or Tin Can at the front. You want to see other people fighting for the wins, because we've not really had tremendous variation in winners this season, have we? We've had our 3 contenders, and then we had Luke as well and RJ.
Yeah.
Has there been a 6th or
Calvin?
Calvin,
yeah.
Calvin at Belgium. But yeah, they've all been one-time winners. We've really only seen the top 3 actually sustain any persistent challenge for victories. So it'd be nice to see Rex up there. Noah and Chill in a good place as well. You said Chill had a great start to the season, didn't he? He was leading the championship, I think, after USA, and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth. But yeah, it's nice to see those guys up there, because you want it to be as varied and unpredictable as possible, because that's what makes it so exciting. But when you've got, no disrespect to him, Max, Forza, Brendan, Verstappen there every week, it makes it a bit soul-destroying for the other drivers. But delighted for Rex, because as you say, he's deserved it this season, at least on pure pace.
Yeah, definitely. I think one person that will probably fully agree with you, Forza Brendan, is Rick, because I think without Forza Brendan's insane pace at Mexico, Rick would have won that race comfortably by, well over 10 seconds. But I think Brendan's just the anomaly in all of that he had such great pace, and the two-slot challenge, he wasn't the faster of the two, but he somehow made it work. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anyone can come out on top if we get a new winner tonight. Mats was the next person to improve in the Alpha Tauri. He's gone P12, just behind his teammate Brent, who's outside the top 10 in 11th. Funky Chicken rounds off the top 10 at the moment in the Aston Martin. So yeah, we'll see if anyone else can improve. J. Luke is the next one on a lap. He's 6/10 up in the first sector, but I think his best time is still only on that medium compound tyre, so we're yet to see what he can do on the softs as he heads towards the end of the second sector now. Crosses the second sector split, and it's a very strong second sector actually. A 13.9, that's a very good middle sector for the Mercedes. We'll see what kind of straight line speed he's got down towards the line, but this could throw him comfortably inside the top 10 as it stands. We'll see where he can go. Can he possibly put himself on the front row? That would be a turn up if J. Luke, the reserve driver, can get a pole position out of this one. He comes up towards the line then, keeping it to the left hand side for the shortest run, crosses the line, just misses out on pole position, but that is a brilliant lap time from J. Luke to go out on the front row.
That's so unlucky for J. Luke, so close for him. Any corner he could probably find that time. He just needs a sharper turn in, sharper traction, and he would have had that. Very unlucky. I don't think he'll be able to go again. I don't think he's fueled to go again. But let's see who we've got coming up behind him. We've got Noah on starting a lap, Tin Can starting a lap, Luke is starting a lap now as well. I don't think anyone is close to finishing a lap. I think J. Cole is furthest one ahead. He's a 10th of a second up. We'll run on board with him through the castle. Forza Brendan stays nice out of his way, so turn 7, easy to invalidate here. But he clips that nicely. He doesn't get unsettled by the curb. Bring it to the right hand side of the track for turn 8. This bump of the curb can really unsettle you. He stays in 3rd through there. Pins it in nicely. Could have cut that curb a little bit more, but doesn't run too wide. Now the couple of kinks of 13 and 14. He's just got that tricky braking zone of 15. And we'll see how he does there. Does he take the bunny hop that you could do in former games? He rides the curb a little bit more than he'd like. Either you want to fully commit to it or you want to avoid it altogether. Where is he through the middle sector of 14.3? He's 0.8 of a second up. That'll put him... Actually, won't do him too many favours. It'll put him right on the end of the top 10 on those softs. And you don't want to be starting on those softs if you can avoid it. If you're only going to start 8th or 9th, we'll see if J. Cole finishes this lap. He's just got that... Well, it feels infinitely long, doesn't it? The run towards the line. He's just urging the car to go faster. Topping out just over 200 miles an hour. Where's he going to go? And he goes 8th. And I think he'll be hoping from that some cars behind him improve.
Yeah, he'll definitely be hoping for that. I would fully agree with you there. We'll see what else other people can do. Noah's invalidated his run, so he's not going to be improving on this one at least. Tin Can up towards the line, then in the Ferrari, currently 7th on the grid, crosses the line and goes on to the front row. Somehow splits Rex and J-Luke on the front row. Brilliant stuff. He's 100th off pole and 2,000ths ahead of J-Luke. Rex is on another lap, but he's only 14 thousandths up by the end of the second sector, so he's not found a lot more time. Luke crosses the line, and Luke now goes onto provisional pole. That's a brilliant improvement from the Ferrari. Nearly half a second he found in that lap. Rex's, those 14 thousandths for Rex could make all the difference as he crosses the line. Rekurik's now gone onto provisional pole. Rex crosses the line and he can't steal it back. Goes back onto the front row, but Rekurik in the dying deaths there finds a bit more time. Is there anybody else that can improve? The two Red Bulls are on lap. Calvin is nearly half a second up. Calvin is absolutely flying in the middle part of the lap. We'll ride with him up towards the line, but this could be pole position for Calvin. Can he steal it away at the end of the session? Wise just crossed the line. He's not improved on P11. Make that 12th now as Brent goes up into P11. Next goes the Aston Martin, I believe, for Funky Chicken, but he's only 13th on the grid. Not what we're used to seeing from him. Here comes Calvin to the line, and Calvin comfortably onto provisional pod by 2.5 tenths of a second. Brilliant time from Calvin. RJ next across the line. He now goes into 11th place. We're just waiting, I think, for Forza Brendan and the likes to set their times. Brendan's slightly up, but not by enough to challenge pole position here. I think that might be it for challengers for pole. I think the only people left on laps are Passe and Brendan. They're coming up to the line now. Chill has started into the pit lane. Passe just in front of Brendan on the line. Passe currently 18th, crosses the line. Where does he go? He goes 12th. Brendan crosses the line, stays 7th. Couldn't find any more time, so only 7th on the grid for Brendan. His teammate, though, comfortably on pole position. A brilliant lap, and my prediction was right. We did get into the low 38s.
Yeah, so you shut me up, didn't you? But what a lap from Calvin. That was looking so, because we had 4 drivers within 200ths of a second, and then Calvin just kind of blew out of the water and made the qualifying look not quite as competitive as it was. But huge laps from Rick, Rex, Luke, and J-Luke as well. Lovely to see those guys up there. Forza Brendan, he only needs 6th, but he's not done enough in qualifying to put himself in an automatic championship position. Well, he has, because Sincan's 5th, but in terms of what he needs to do, in terms of his own destiny, he's not really pulled out of the bag in the way we expect him to. He used to just, Brendan, even when he's not having a good day, not having a good track, to just pop it in at least 3rd or 4th, but 7th, I think that's the lowest he's qualified for a while. But huge congrats to Calvin, he thoroughly deserved pole position.
Yeah, brilliant time from him in the end. I think that's actually Brendan's worst qualifying position since the opening round of the season at Bahrain, where he qualified outside the top 10. So
I will confirm that now.
Yeah, we'll have a look and see. But yeah, I mean, that if that is the case, then that just proves what kind of a level we expect from Brendan at this point in the season. That 7th on the grid is almost a bad qualifying performance for him. But his teammate Calvin onto pole position then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Of course, a winner this season at Belgium as well. Rekurik alongside him on the front row for the 2nd week in a row. Rekurik on the front row alongside a Red Bull, a different Red Bull this time. Rex in 3rd ahead of Luke and Tinkan, the 2 Ferraris 4th and 5th. J-Luke with a strong qualifying in 6th ahead of Brendan. Chill, Noah and J. Cole rounds off the top 10 in the end. J. Cole couldn't quite drop outside the top 10 by 0.003 of a second. He misses out on starting on a fresh set of tyres. RJ is the man in the poor man's pole position. Then it's Passe, Brent, White or White, Funky Chicken, Mats, Dara, Peter Gillis, with Nathan and Dari not setting times. Nathan not setting a time throughout the session, and Dari crashing out before he could set his first lap. So, yeah. J. Cole, like you mentioned, he would have been hoping that a few drivers could go faster than him and he could drop outside the top 10. In the end, he didn't do that, and he's possibly in, well, you've got to say, the worst starting position for the start of this race.
He's in a very tricky spot. In contrast, RJ, this is perfectly set up for RJ to win this race. It's a track where people crash. It's a track where there's safety cars, and it's a track where he's the first man with a free choice of tyre. So, it's set up for RJ to win. So that's preempting that question from you to me. But Brendan's lowest qualifying performance since Singapore, when he was also 7th. He was 9th at round 3 at Silverstone, and you are right, had a tragic qualifying in round 1. He was 12th at Bahrain. But since Singapore, he's not qualified lower than 5th. So he's been an outstanding qualifier this season. This is his first race in the last 4 where he's not made it on the front row. So maybe the pressure is getting to him a touch.
Maybe it is just a touch, like you say, but even if he's outside the top 6, like you mentioned, Tin Can's not inside the top 2. So if the race were to finish now, like it did in the Spa race in real life, then Brendan would become champion as it stands. So let's have a look at tyres for people outside the top 10. And I mean, in the most predictable circumstance in the world, everybody outside of the top 10 is on a set of medium compound tyres. That's not a surprise. The medium tyres here, you can do a medium soft. It depends on what your tyre wear is like, whether you're using max pressures and whether you can get those tyres to around lap 16 or 17. Unless there's a very early safety car, we don't think anybody's going to touch the hard compound tyres.
No, I think this is, as you say, soft medium to medium soft. But then I'm sure I said that last week, and we ended up getting a real mix of strategies. We saw every strategy under the sun last week. But we've not checked the weather, have we? Are we aware if there's any rain? I'll presume not, because no one said it in the chat. So I'll assume, as you say, soft medium or medium soft. I am surprised that, no one has had a effort moment and has gone for some softs or some hards outside the top 10 just for the sake of doing something different. But everyone is going for the best possible strategy, which is nice to see. But also I like it when someone just does something a bit different just for some spice.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have been surprised as well as Adara, actually, just to make his evening even worse. He's now facing the wrong way in the castle section, so we've already had our first crash in the castle section before the race has even begun, so just proving that corner is quite difficult. It is a bit overcast, which should make it a little bit easier for some of these drivers on tyres. Of course, like you mentioned in qualifying, it is a rear limited circuit here. It's because of all the traction zones that we have. The rear tyres do tend to burn up. The slightly cooling conditions could make it a little bit easier, but for a track that's already got no grip at all, cloudier conditions and a cooler track temperature makes it even worse.
Yeah, it does. And, I think we're going to see a lot of drivers struggle. I think if anyone on these softs goes longer than lap 4, we're going to see the softs really start to burn up. We could see a few mistakes. I just noticed then on the heli shot, a giant golden donut ring in the Baku skyline. I can't say I've ever noticed that one before in any game. Oh, wow. Yeah, never seen that one. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought. But I'm going to say RJ to win, Brendan second, and Rick third.
Yeah, that could be a good one. I think Rick could win this one today. I've got my eye on him. I think he'll be hoping to pick up from where he left off in Mexico. So we'll keep an eye out for the Haasman on the front right. It's a very short run in towards turn 1. Complete contrast to last week at Mexico, which was the longest one down towards turn 1. This time around, it's one of the shortest, as I think we're just waiting out for Darry to line up at the very back of the field, which I think he has done. So here come the lights ahead of the drivers. Calvin versus Rikurik into turn 1. Who's going to get the best start? Lights are out and away they go. It looks a fairly even start amongst the people at the front of the field. I think Rikurik actually get a worse second phase of the start and is not challenging Calvin in towards turn 1. They remain the same inside the top 6 at the moment, 7 as well. No one's really made any moves apart from Passe in the medium compound tyres, who's trying to make a move around the outside. Chill caught on the curb on the inside of turn 2, has just lost the rear of the car coming out of the corner. A little bit of contact further back. Peter Gillis, I think, making a bit of contact with one of the Alpha Tauris. That might have been Mats. One of the Alpha Tauris has ended up in the wall down this back straight. That is Brent, I think, after contact with Funky Chicken, who's dropped right to the back of the field. So a bit of contact amongst the medium runners further down, as Chill, struggling on those soft compound tyres already. He's got both Williams all around him at the moment. Passe ahead, White to wide trying to make his move down the inside as well. Here comes Peter Gillis and Nathan side by side a bit further down. As further up, J. Luke has got the move done on Luke up in towards turn number 7. An unorthodox place to overtake, but J. Luke up the inside. He's made the move stick. Luke sensibly backs out of that one. He's back down into 5th place. So J. Luke, the only one of the soft runners that's made any gains in this race, is up, I believe, 2 places at the start. Noah as well as up a place.
Yeah, very combative first lap there. A lot of side-by-side action. It was a cracking move from J. Luke on Luke. He got a better exit off 6. Chill really was in the walls the first lap and ended up losing places for it. Brendan down a place to Noah as well, but as is Tin Can. Tin Can's lost a place off the start. But as good a start as Calvin could hope. He's got an 8/10 of a second lead already. And remarkably, I think we've got through this first lap without any front wings flying anywhere. So that is an absolute delight to see. I'm sure I'll be proven wrong if someone comes flying into pits at the end of the first lap. I thought we might see really a couple of spins at the pinch point of turn 2. That is a horrible apex where the cars just crowd together. But no, I think everyone's got through it safely. Everyone's ploughing down the straight. Love to see that. But Rick, he's hanging with Calvin, isn't he? He had to use a bit of theirs down the main straight. There's White and Chill trading places. Another position loss for Chill. And RJ and Nathan now going at it side by side into turn 2. And RJ hits the back of Chill nearly. Nathan does hit the back of Chill. They're still side by side. Peter Gillis is looking very interested in this. Just following the two down straight. They're side by side. No DRS, of course, for either of them on lap 2. Peter Gillis shapes right, he shapes left. He backs out, he has a look. Nathan takes the inside and RJ clatters the wall. And then Peter Gillis clatters RJ. And look at this. We've got Ecos. Matt's coming up the inside now into turn 3. Matt's is nearly spun round. Sways this way, then that. Darry's through, Dara's through, and there is Funky Chicken as well, who hits the back of Dara into turn 5. Wow, that was a bit of a madness there, all coming from Nathan and RJ at turn 2. It just seemed to cascade down the field all the way back to Tim Matson Funky Chicken. And, well, so much, well, that is typical Baku, isn't it, there?
Yeah, it really is. One place lost, and then it can cause a little bit of carnage behind, almost a bit of a Constantina effect quite a few times there. I'm amazed that RJ's got away with that without any damage. It looks like he's fine, but from his 11th place starting place, he's lost 3 places already, so it's not been a great start for him, unfortunately. In the contrary, though, the 2 Williams on the medium compound tyres looking very strong. Passe now right on the back of J. Cole, and actually the 2 drivers on the softs at the moment that are struggling the most compared to the drivers of the randoms seem to be the 2 Ferraris. Luke is using a lot of ERS to get back close to J. Luke, and Tinkan is using ERS to try and keep with his teammate, which he is not doing at the moment. Calvin, fastest lap of the race, in the lead as you would expect. We'll see if anyone can topple that. I don't think anyone has. DRS is now enabled, and yeah, the 2 Ferraris at the moment seem to be the ones on the softs that are struggling the most, along with Chill.
Both Ferraris agonisingly close to falling out of DRS, but they've both luckily just managed to stay inside it. Luke dipping it over and under all the way down the main straight, and he stayed in it long enough. I think if he can stay through this middle sector, Rex might do him a favour, back J. Luke up and just keep this train together. If he had a fallen out of DRS, I think, well, we've got a yellow flag in the back there. That's Passe.
I don't know what's happened there. I don't know if he went for a move on J. Cole or whether he's just spun simply on his own, but from the lead medium runner, he's, well, thrown away a brilliant position in this race. He's got front wing damage as well on the left-hand side, which suggests to me that maybe it was either alongside J. Cole or he's turned in too early for turn 3 and hit the wall on the inside.
I remember he said the other night he was really targeting a podium at these last 3 races. That's heartbreaking for him to have that incident, but I've no doubt there will be a safety car at some point to bring him back into play. We've had no incidents so far until that point, but there's no reason why we're not going to see a glut of them between now and the end of the race. We've got yellow flag Passe again going round. One of them's got overheating tyres there, perhaps, or just very slow with his damage. Up front, Calvin's not broken DRS, has he? He's trying to. Well, maybe he has just about. He's 1,000th inside the margin. We've got J. Luke and Rex has made a mistake. Rex has crashed.
Wow.
Tin Can's crashed behind him, trying to avoid him.
Oh, my word.
I think it was Tin Can. It was one of the Ferraris that clattered the wall.
Wow, that was a big moment. I don't know if Rex made contact with J. Luke there or not, but he's absolutely clattered the wall.
And then Noah hit Tin Can into one, sorry.
Yeah, and there goes Brendan as well.
Him.
Yeah, Brendan's going to go down the inside, I think, is he? No, he's going to back out of it, but I think it might have been Tin Can that's hit the wall. Noah gets the move done. Tin Can and Brendan now side by side on the track. I don't know if Rex was made contact there, but that is a very odd place to make a mistake. It's usually easily flat out that corner.
It might be the tyres that are just starting to go a bit, and he just took the slightly higher, heavier line through the corner, and the rears just wouldn't stick with it. So it must be those softs starting to go, unless he had some kind of contact. See, I think lap 3 is too early to be expecting those kind of struggles on the soft tyres on the rears, but maybe it was. Maybe he's just completely ruined his rear tyres already in the first few laps, where he did a second lap in qualifying. Maybe I don't believe he did. But up front, it has strung things out a bit. We've only now got Luke behind J. Luke, who's hanging on to DRS. Everyone else up front has nicely spread out, haven't they? And that's going to cause massive problems for Tin Can.
Yeah, it really is. Calvin did just break DRS, by the way, by 0.5 of a second. He had more ERS than Rekurik down that straight. And Rekurik
hit the wall.
Yeah, just slapped the wall coming out of turn 15. I don't know if he's got any damage from it. By the looks of things, I don't think he has. I think it was just rear contact with the rear wheel. But what that has done is put J. Luke back in his DRS. So that is a good opening now for J. Luke, who's actually dropped Luke in that middle sector. So This could be good for the Mercedes man, but the Mercedes man has absolutely no ERS at all. These drivers at the front are pushing so hard to try and break DRS of one another that they're running out of ERS. J-Luke's in, Luke's out, Tin Can's out, and Tin Can into the pit lane at the end of lap 4. That's not a shock. Brendan's followed him in.
Yep, I think that's pretty expected. I think you can go lap 4 and you can go mediums to the end, so I think they're just on the ball with the strategy. I expect everyone else to come in this lap. Calvin certainly will be in this lap. I imagine that was coordinated, that Brendan got the preferential strategy. Being the championship contender...
Oh, contact further down. Oh, sorry to jump across you there, but Peter Gillis and Darry made contact coming out of turn 1 and towards turn 2. And Peter Gillis tried to tuck in behind the McLaren, not recognising that Darry was on his outside, and he's just spun off the front of the Alpine.
And then we saw Matt's just getting past Dara there. We've got J. Cole and Nathan still going at it. No love lost between those two. I said last week that J. Cole had a bee in his bonnet for Nathan for Monza, and Nathan's going to try to go around the outside into 5 here. That is ill-advised. You can't fit two Formula 1 cars around there, and Nathan's lucky that didn't put him into RJ's clutches. This is a really tight trade now. We've got Funky Chicken pulling out of Darry's slipstream towards turn 7 just to try and spot his braking point. And I think there was contact there between Max and Dara into 7, because Max was right at the back of these, and then he just disappeared went straight on almost at the braking zone. And you can see their nose to tail. They are pushing each other rounds turn 11 and 12. And Dara had a big moment as well. I just saw back there from Tim Mats. Had a huge slapper on the exit of 12. And he's dropped straight out of DRS. But, yeah, this is a weird lap for these guys. And you can look how close RJ is to Nathan. Nathan is to J. Cole. There is nothing separating these guys. J. Cole, no softs. They must be feeling awful. Like doggy doo-doo coming through these fast kinks here, because the rear's going to want to snap away from him. J. Cole's just going to have to keep it for the end of the straight, and he'll be fine. But Nathan and RJ are going to come straight through, and I think RJ could even try a double overtake here. We've got Funky Chicken in the background trying to pass the other McLaren of Darry. They're going to go 3 wide. We saw something like this in D5 last week that ended in tears, but RJ, I think, is going to get through, and he's going to get a double overtake on his. Funky Chicken pulls across Darry further back. Double overtake, success for one McLaren, but unlucky for the other, and is Nathan going to try and look it back into 2? Darry does the same on Funky Chicken, and this is just a crazy little train we've got going, and you can see how much it's let the front leaders break away up front. But they're going to go back at it again, I think, towards 3.
Yeah, they really are. Rex is the fastest lap, but he's, of course, well out of position as it stands. Rekurik came into the pit lane on that lap, but he sped in the pits. So the man that was in second place then, with a 5-second penalty looming over him. And interestingly, in just one lap, Rekurik, who was running in a comfortable second, has now got Tin Can and Forza Brendan and Luke right behind him. So Rekurik's lost a lot in one lap. Calvin deciding not to pit. Could he be undercut here by those drivers? Could he end up losing out to the likes of Rekurik and Tin Can in the pit lane? We'll see what kind of pace he's got on the sauce, but he is squirming around all over the place coming out of turn 12. Those tyres look absolutely dead. Same for J. Luke as well. Noah's continue on. White YY then, now the lead medium runner in the other Williams, and he is, well, all of that battling that was happening back there between J. Cole and RJ and Nathan has meant that White YY now comfortably the lead medium runner completely on his own.
He's in a really good spot, White YY. We've not seen this sort of typical shrewd, sly performance that we used to see from White YY back in the older days of LOE and PRL, but he's shining so far today. I was on board with Nathan a moment ago, and he had a big moment out of turn 12. Even the mediums started to give away from him now, and he's going to have DRS on RJ, but look how close Funky Chicken is to him. I think Funky Chicken's going to get this move done even if Nathan has DRS. And there it goes, letterbox open, Calvin's into the pits, but Funky Chicken nicely gets that move done, and Nathan, that mistake all the way up at turn 12, costed him about 4 miles later, and there he goes. He tries to have a look back at Funky Chicken, left a front wheel in there. That was never going to work. That was cheeky from Nathan, I have to say. And but he loses the position. Darry and E. Cosmats and Dara very close behind. Nathan can't afford any kind of mistake here. Where's Calvin going to come out? And in fact, the 2 Red Bulls nearly collided. Calvin and Brendan just got really... I just saw Calvin clambering over the curb at 2 and Brendan having to back out of it. Brendan's coming at him. Luke's coming at Brendan now towards turn 3. This is... I think Brendan's going to get boxed in by his teammate there nearly. Luke gets bounced up against the curb and he has to concede. But something happened there with the 2 Red Bulls. They nearly came together, or they did come together, because they were line astern in towards 2. And Rick and Peter Gillis actually as well, further up, had to cut across myself. Because Peter Gillis is very slow on those old mediums out of turn 6, and Rick is going to get through him. I think Tin Can's going to get him as well. A double overtake between 6 and 7. Joe expected that. Peter Gillis hits the back of Tin Can. Tin Can has a slide out of 7, and now Calvin's going to try to go side by side into the castle. As he know, he backs out, but then he hits the back of Peter Gillis, and I think that may had Luke touched the back of Brendan as well. And you can see with how narrow and how close it is that if one driver gets a problem, it ripples all the way down the field. And is Calvin going to try and move here into turn 15? This is not a good idea. And, well, thankfully he has the sense to avoid it. But Peter Gillis caused some madness there. I had to interrupt myself about 5 times, but what racing we've got in this race.
Yeah, really, really great racing, like you say. And yeah, Peter Gillis, look at the gap now between Calvin and Tin Can in just a sector. He's lost well over 2 seconds here, and now Brendan nearly running into the back of his teammate. By the way, I caught the end of it. Calvin was coming out of the pit lane and went into turn 2. Because of the pit exit here, basically just drove into the side of Tin Can and nearly spun himself off the side of the Ferrari, which is why Brendan then had to back out of the corner. Brendan here going down the inside. Is he going to battle his teammate in towards turn 1? He's got the inside line, and Calvin had to give him the space there. Brendan, I think, was trying to back out of it and ended up braking too late. So the two Red Bulls, they're kind of almost fighting in towards turn 1, costing themselves a bit more time. But now they've got a huge gap to make up. 2.2 seconds. Rukurik in the net race lead, but with a penalty looming over him. Tin Can right behind him was in a net second place as it stands. Well, the net lead with Rukurik's penalty. So he's doing a solid job at the moment. It's Tin Can. Brendan's still within a position to win this race. And Peter Gillis on 7 lap-old mediums, plummeting that fast is a real bizarre sight to see him drop so many places so quickly. By the way, just before he came into the pit lane, White Hawaii managed to get past Noah before his pit stop. So White Hawaii absolutely flying. And interestingly, J-Luke is still out on those soft tyres.
I was just looking at that actually. The gap between him and Luke is 15.3 right now. It's coming down corner by corner, but if Luke had pitted a lap earlier and he picked his moment when all that madness was going on, he could well have overcut these guys. He could well have come out ahead of all of them. Because it's only about a 16-second loss for a pit stop here. You don't lose all that much at all, considering how fast the full speed cars are barreling down the straight. But yeah, right now the gap to Luke is 40.6. It's really coming down. J-Luke has missed his window to try and get an advantage on these guys with all that battling. As Chill takes an opportunity to move on Peter Gillis in turn 16, but I think he's just going to lose that under DRS. But yeah, that battling very, very costly for these guys. Although Calvin is really reeling Tin Can in now.
Yeah, it really is. Further up, Darry and Matt's going side by side, RJ and Nathan going side by side in towards turn 1. Nathan and RJ, interestingly, have now lost touch with the back of Funky Chicken, and Funky Chicken has caught YHYY now. So after a really poor first lap where Funky Chicken was, well, nearly last after the first lap, he's now worked his way up to be the second man on the medium tyres. So good recovery so far from the Aston Martin. He's dropped these two behind, who have dropped Darry and Timats, who are going side by side in towards 3, but Matt's backs out of the move. They've got Dara just behind, and now the leaders are starting to catch them as well. So you've got a sense that those on the medium tyres are doing the one-stop. They're going to be out for at least another 6 or 7 laps on those tyres. Rukurik and Tin Can are going to catch these battles very quickly. There's the Red Bull's opportunities to close back in. Luke as well, and if they're held up enough, Chill's not out of the question either. He's not too far back to capitalise when they catch the queue.
Yeah, Chill's very much still in this race. I think a lot of drivers, I think most people, no one's really thrown themselves out of contention other than Peter Gillis, who's now on hards, and then Brent, Noah, Passe right at the back of the field. Not even Noah, actually. There's lots of people still in contention for decent points here because there's so much potential. How much battling we've seen already is wouldn't put it past any kind of wing damage or collisions. We've seen drivers clatter the walls and get away with it quite a few times so far. And I'll tell you what, Brendan seems just off the pace a touch today. He's dropped out of his teammates' DRS, and he's now going to find himself very vulnerable to Luke, who's sticking with him nicely, and he's going to have no protection at all from Calvin. I think we could see Luke get a place on Brendan, which will be big for his teammates' chances. J-Luke finally comes into the pits. And it might could be double success for Ferrari here, because Tin Can's going to be very close to the back of Rukurik. Rukurik's got that penalty, of course. He covers the right-hand side line. Tin Can moves to the left, brakes nicely, gets that move done. Luke is too far back on Forza Brendan, though further behind. But yeah, Forza Brendan just seems to have lost a couple of tenths to his teammate, or possibly even to Luke behind him, who's still really close. And I think Brendan's going to struggle to keep hold of that place at his current pace.
Yeah, definitely. As Rukurik's coming back at Tin Can here down the inside of 3, leaves his nose down the inside. They're going to run side by side down towards 4. There's a little bit of contact, but they get away with it. Tin Can, though, very deep into 4. He just about keeps it out of the wall. Rukurik's going to have the outside line for turn number 5. Can Tin Can stick it down the inside for the corner? Yes, he can. He forces Rukurik pretty much to yield that position, and that's allowed Calvin to catch back up. And Calvin right on the back of the Haas car now. I don't know whether it's Brendan being off the pace or Calvin being absolutely rapid. He was taking nearly a second a lap lap out of Rikurik on that previous lap before Rikurik and Tinkan started battling. So Calvin is absolutely flying, and now he's right on the back of this queue battling for the lead. So just as they're now starting to catch up to Dara and Mats, who are really going at it for 6th in front of them. So Tinkan into that race lead, but that battle with Rikurik means that both Calvin and Brendan have caught up, as well as Luke.
Just looking at where J. Luke's come out, he's 6 seconds off this battle. He's 6 seconds off, and he was he was ahead of Brendan.
Yeah.
When Brendan pitted, ahead of Luke as well, ahead of Tinkan. He's lost so much by staying out. He's got an offset, he's got a nice tyre offset, but it counts for nothing. He's got no DRS, which all the cars ahead of him have got. He's got fresher tyres, but they're not going to do anything for him. YHYY is into the pits, and he's going to go medium hard, and that's a racy strategy from YHYY. I don't know why he's touching the hards, but I respect the ambition. As Rikurik passes Tinkan back into 1. But yeah, J. Luke shot himself in the foot with this strategy. And it's not the first time in the last few weeks we've seen some strategy blunders. I think Imola, the VSC, was a big one. I think Peter Gillis stands out there. But J. Luke, he's thrown away a really good result here by staying out 5-6 laps longer than he needed to.
Yeah, he really has. But like you say, he's got a tyre offset, but I don't think there's enough pace advantage in that tyre offset to warrant him gaining the time back. He's going for the inside move on Chill here into on turn 3, very late on the brakes, and he gets the car stopped as J. Luke is past Chill and up into 12th place. Chill's coming back at him around the outside of turn 4, but the Aston Martin man backs out of it. So J. Luke is back up into 12th and a net 6th position on the road, but yeah, 6.5 seconds to catch now this queue of cars in front. That is a lot of time he's got to make up. Fortunately for him, Rikurik has now caught this queue of cars, starting to queue up behind Dari in 4th. So that's going to make it a little bit difficult for this train now to make any more forward momentum. J. Luke now has to really push to try and close in on the drivers in front. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. It's Passe again at turn 3. He was racing with Peter Gillis. I don't know if they've made any contact, but for the second time in this race, Passe's in the wall at turn 3. This time I think he's got away with no damage, but it's been an absolute disaster of a race so far for Passe.
Very unfortunate for him. I mean, I'm not sure how much of it he'll blame himself for, how much of it was other people's fault, whether he did collide with Peter Gillis there, but Passe, I always believe he's got race-winning pace in him, Passe, even in D3. He just seems like someone who's got a lot of natural speed. He just needs to find a way to hone it a little bit more, and I'm no doubt that next season, and there Calvin is... sorry, I was just looking at... Dara's making a move on Dari. There's Rick passing Tim Mats, Calvin and Tinkan going at it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's all sorts of battling going on. I think Dari's going to get Dara back here, the two Daras, and Rick has safely passed Tinkan. Is Tinkan going to get Tim Mats? The problem for Tinkan here is that Tim Mats has got DRS, but Tim Mats lets Tinkan through. I don't like that. No. I don't like that.
That's very bizarre. I would say that's very bizarre, considering he's let Tinkan through and then not let anybody else through down the same straight. He's only let Tinkan through, which is bizarre. As Rikurik gets the move on Darian towards turn 5, that's a good move for the Haas man. That could be a crucial move in this race. Can Tinkan get past Dari as well? He's got an amazing run up towards turn number 7. It's going to be late down the inside. Has Dari seen it coming? Kind of, not really. Dara with a massive snap in front of him as well. Tinkan gets the move on Dari before turn 8. Just about gets away with it. But yeah, I fully agree with you. That move out of the way for Tim Mats, very bizarre. Something we don't really like to see. And the fact that he's only let Tinkan through and then is holding up the rest of the leaders in the process is a very odd decision.
Unless he thought by letting Tinkan go he'd have half a chance at getting Dari when Tinkan got through Dari, but yeah, that's just strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. But Dara makes a mistake. Tim Mats nearly follows him through turn 16. That's put Calvin right on the back of Tim Mats here. But the trouble is for Calvin. Calvin's got barely an ERS advantage over Tim Mats, and Tim Mats is going to have the DRS. He's going to have the ERS as well. Calvin's going to try and... He's nabbed Dari slipstream. That is crucial. Calvin's through. Brendan's going to try follow him, but Tim Mats is... They're going to sit in each other's slipstreams here, and it is a straight drag down towards 1, and Tinkan and Dara spun round by Tinkan, nearly half spin there, and Tim Mats is into the wall. He's taken out Luke, and is that a safety car?
Another bit of contact further up as well. That is a full safety car. Full safety car then on lap number 13 of this race. Someone else hit the wall. I didn't see who that was, but I definitely heard a clatter at turn number 2. Can't see anybody at the moment with any front wing damage. We'll wait and see. But Yeah, that was a real mess. That one was, yeah. Timat's hitting the wall on his own, bounced back onto the road, and Luke, with nowhere to go, just innocently spun into the inside pit wall, which is a real shame to see. So the Ferrari man is out. That whole situation was a real mess between those leading and those on the alternate strategy.
Yeah, first Tin Can nearly, does spin Dara, who somehow manages to right the car, and then further back, Tim Mats is just past, Tim Mats, Darry, Calvin and Brendan were all involved in that. Luke, as you say, was an innocent bystander behind. Tim Mats had a moment. And Dara's hit the back of Calvin there. Darry hits the back of
they've all got
Calvin,
penalties.
penalty for Brendan. They've all got penalties.
What on earth is happening?
That was bizarre. Dara just hit the back of Calvin. I wonder if Calvin had an issue with his Delta. But if you're going to slow down, don't do it in the middle of the castle.
No.
Because I think Darry nearly hit the wall trying to avoid Dara there at turns 9 and 10.
That must be the case.
What a bizarre lap.
Yeah, if that was, I don't know if I didn't see if Calvin hit the wall in the castle section, or if he made a mistake, or like you say, whether he was adjusting for his Delta. But if you are adjusting for your Delta, the worst place you can do it on this track is in the middle of the castle section, because if you do slow down right in front of someone, nobody has anywhere to go. The leaders are into the pit lane, as you would expect. Rekurik probably going to stay out. No, Rekurik dives in. Tin Can at the last minute dives in. Calvin stays out, interestingly. Calvin stays out.
That's
Brendan
the only way they
stays
can
out.
get their... Oh! Darry hit the back of Dara into the pit lane. That could be another penalty for either of those. And that was a proper whack as well. But the Red Bulls have got to stay out. It's the only way they can get their penalties removed. If they come in, they serve them. They can't get that 5 seconds taken off, and they lose the places that were behind them in the train. So I fully get the thinking, but they've got J. Luke on 5-lap fresher mediums, who we know is quick anyway. So shows me right for saying J. Luke's strategy was terrible. And we've got Chicken Nathan, who's very racy. Chili's a bit of an anomaly, and RJ all on fresh softs. I mean, what would you do, Aidan? Would you have come in, got the fresh tyres, taken the hit, taken the 5-second penalty, and fought your way back up? Or would you have stayed out so you can get that penalty removed? Which in Calvin's case, it's, if Calvin was doing something naughty, he might not get that penalty removed. Would you have stayed out and get those penalties removed, or would you have come in, serve them, and just race to the end? I don't know what I would have done.
I would have let at least one of them come in. I mean, like you say, them getting those penalty removes fully relies on them actually being innocent in the party, which Calvin was at the front of the queue when he came almost to a stop in the castle section, and everyone else behind reacted, which suggests to me, on the face of things, that that's Calvin's fault. So if that is the case, then Calvin wouldn't get his 5-second penalty removed after the race. So it's really bizarre. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot here. The problem here for Red Bull, obviously they couldn't pit at the same time because they would have been held up massively in the pits, and very likely would have been at the very back of the DRS queue. Sadly for them, Calvin's got great raw speed, but of course he's got a 5-second penalty looming over him. We've already seen in today's race, Brendan does not have the same pace as Calvin. He didn't in qualifying, he doesn't in the race. J-Luke's been faster than Brendan all race. If J-Luke can get the move done on Brendan and get past, surely Forza Brendan's just a sitting duck for all of the drivers behind him. I think his only saving grace here would be Chill and Noah, who are also on older tyres, but Chicken and Nathan, fresh softs, RJ, fresh softs, and then of course Tin Can hunting him down as well. I worry here that Brendan's going to plummet at the safety car restart.
His only other hope is that the softs go off. I mean, we've got 12 laps at the end of this one to go. I mean, there's a chance. The other thing, of course, he could have done, because he would have had the queue. So I get Brendan not coming in. Calvin, to me, would have seemed more natural because he had pace. Why take the risk of staying out? And we got Tim Mats coming back in. So he went on to hards. So Tim Mats started mediums. He's gone to hards. He's going to go back to mediums. That's sensible. Peter Gillis taking the opportunity as well. So, yeah, I mean, Brendan has had through no fault of his own, he's had a big target painted on his back here. And J-Luke will be hungry, and I think J-Luke will get him. He'll have at least... He had a couple of tenths in hand anyway, like you said, and he's now going to have an extra 3, 4, 5 tenths in hand from the 5-lap fresher tyres. So, Funky Chicken and Nathan will be chomping at the bit. Nathan, particularly, we've seen how racy he can get. And RJ thrives in these situations. I'm struggling to see how Brendan can... Because he's going to struggle to stick with his teammate on the restart. He's got 2 laps fresher tyres, and he's quicker anyway.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to see how Brendan can safely get out of this with the 6th place he needs. I mean, Tin Can's in 9th, so It's academic whether he gets that 6th place or not. He's probably already champion. But even so, I'm struggling to see how Brendan can come out of this anywhere near a podium finish.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on that side of things as well. I think, yeah, it's a bizarre... I personally think it's a bizarre choice for both of the Red Bulls to stay out, because either way they can cover their bases. If one of them comes into the pit lane, yes, he would have lost time in the pits, but he wouldn't have actually lost that many places, because we saw, of course, Dari with a penalty, Dara with a penalty, and Rakurik also with a 5-second penalty. They all serve those in their pit stops, and they're, well, no worse off than they were before the pit stops. They've only just dropped behind Tinkan, which is just the one place, really, for the lot of them. So, actually, if either Calvin or Brendan came in, they wouldn't have really lost anything in terms of the people they were initially racing. So, yeah, a little bit of a bizarre choice from my side of things for one of them to come in. You've got to say now, honestly, Calvin's best shot at winning this race is completely dropping his teammate, because if he keeps Brendan within his DRS range and forms a DRS queue, he's just going to plummet 8 or 9 places by the time we cross the line.
Yeah, I was about to say, we might still get a late call for Zedgard to come in here.
Backing off.
Brent's backing off. Again, that's another thing. I don't like that. Both AlphaTauri drivers are annoying me today. Brent should have caught up.
Yeah.
He could have brought the safety car in this lap if he thought to press his R2 button. But as it is, we've got another lap on the safety car. So yeah, Brent was very close coming out of 12. He could have ended the safety car there, and then we would have got a late call, which would have been exciting. But no, we've got another lap on the safety car. But change the subject slightly. Where would you go? How close to the line would you leave this if you're Calvin to go in? Would you do a Verstappen and go at last possible moment, which I think is unwise, because the later you go, the more predictable you become? Or would you go early in the straight? Would you go during the kinks and back off really, really early, really slowly? What would you do?
I'm more of the latter that you just said, backing off early and then going earlier than usual. I think if you back off quite heavily before the start of that flat out section and get everyone down to a slow speed, by the time you put the throttle down, it's a lot shorter for the rest of the people to react. Of course, the pack is much more bunched up if you're leaving it right to the end of the straight, and people are so ready to go by the end of the straight that they're pretty much almost jumping you in when you're leaving at the safety car restart. So I'm of the mind that you would go a bit earlier at this point in this proceedings, back off more, slow everybody down, and then absolutely gun it at the restart so that it takes longer for everybody else to get up to speed. So, I mean, we'll see what he does. I'm sure Calvin here is going to try in every which way possible to help his teammate, but yeah, it's difficult either way, because I think either way this happens, I don't see Brendan at least holding his position.
No, I can't see this for Brendan. I think he's in a really, really poor situation. And I said through no fault of his own. Partly because he's the second Red Bull. I mean, if he was the leader, he wouldn't have had to risk queuing. I assume they're in the same party. If they weren't, and Brendan would have had to stay out in case he stuck behind his teammate at the pit stop, which would have cost him a lot of time. But Nathan is the one I'm excited for. I think Nathan is going to be really rare for this. He'll sense a win. He'll know there's a win on for him here. And I think from this point on, it's Nathan or Chicken or J-Luke. Either way, we get a new winner. So either way, I'm happy. I can't see those Red Bulls hanging on, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Nathan and Chicken, both of them are going to be going for it. Chicken has said all season long he's, well, finished on the podium multiple times. He's looking for that first win of the season. Nathan as well, of course. His first race in a full-time seat will be looking for that first win after a great performance in Mexico. Getting ready for the safety car restart. We have 10 laps to go when we cross the line. So it's going to be tough for some of these soft runners by the end. The soft tyres might go off. They need to get towards the end, as Calvin has gone now then, about halfway down the straight. Calvin has gone and has completely left Brendan there. That is good as further back. Nathan, like you said earlier on, looking racy, already looking for a move on Funky Chicken, really late on the brakes into turn one, and he gets it stopped. Lovely move from Nathan down the inside, caught Nathan napping a little bit, and he caught Funky Chicken napping a little bit, sorry, and he's up into fourth place. Look at the gap Calvin's already pulled on his teammate J-Luke, right behind Brendan up towards turn three. He's not going to be close enough for a dive into the corner, but Calvin already starting to drop his teammate by the time they get towards the second sector. Nathan, a brilliant restart further down. Jacob and Peter Gillis are running side by side up towards turn three. Peter Gillis is going to have the move around the outside of turn four, is he? Yes, he is. He's got the move done. He's past the Mercedes, who's plummeted at the safety car restart, unfortunately. But yeah, brilliant restart there from Nathan. Like you said, he's looking racy. Brilliant move down the inside of turn one.
Seems a long time ago that Rex was starting third on the grid, doesn't it? He's been nowhere this race. I just noticed him changing places there down in 12th place. Brendan really struggling, 1.3 seconds off his teammate already. J-Luke and Calvin are chomping at the bit to get past him, but they need... they're going to struggle before they get DRS. I mean, Brendan's a wily customer. He knows what he's in for. He knows how to defend. He knows how to win races. He knows how to fight positions. He's going to be difficult for them to get past. He's not going to make a mistake here. He knows he's in a championship winning position. He knows Tinkan's down in 9th. And he's going to have no issues in winning the championship today. But he'll want to get the best position he can. And he will put up a fight for J. Luke and Nathan, I'm sure. But they need to clear him quickly because they're going to fall back from Calvin. And those softs aren't going to be magic sticky tyres forever as RJ passes Chill now. RJ was my shout for the race win. Wasn't looking so good after the first lap, but I'll stick with that now. But Chill's actually coming back at him around the outside of turn 1. Chill's a brave man to try that on his tyres he's on. But I think, yeah, RJ's got away with that, and Noah having a look at Chill into 2. But and Chill clatters the curb there, and that puts Noah right on his backside. And here comes Noah pulling out to the left-hand side of the track. He pulls left, tucks back into the slipstream. Now he comes to the right, does the Alpine. He's going to force Chill to take a tight line. And J. Luke is through on Brendan into turn 3. And we have got Chill and Noah trading places into 3 as well. And they bump wheels not once, not twice. Tinkan's desperate to get through this. And I think he's going to get past Noah. Yeah, he is. Tinkan's through on Noah out of 4 towards 5. And that's big for him that Brendan's lost place and Tinkan's gained 1. Although, as I said, it's still probably academic in the big picture of things.
Yeah, long way to go for Tinkan from here, but he's looking for the move down the inside of Chill up towards turn 7. Now late on the brakes down the inside. Chill doesn't really leave him a lot of room. They're going to be side by side up to the castle section. One of them's got to back out here. Chill's not backing out. That's all. They're side by side still. I don't know what is going on here. They were so slow. They've ghosted through that section of the track. You've got to say there, Tinkan was ahead. Chill needed to back out of that. He left his nose in, and it's just cost them, this whole pack, so much time. Noah is back through. I think Chill might have got damaged from all that as well. Tinkan's dropped back, and any chance Tinkan maybe had of getting up to the leaders is wiped out with that move. And yeah, really, I've got to say it, that is a dumb move from Chill to keep it down the inside.
I think Chill's just bitter about the bump pass into 7, but that's not an excuse. We've got Tim Matt's round at the back. Is that a crash? No, he's just dropped on 16. Yeah, I think Tim Matt's... sorry, not Tim Matt's. As Nathan's passing Brendan here in towards turn 1. I'll cut across myself. DRS enabled, and they're going to be side-by-side into 1. Brendan's going to have to back out of this. Nathan's going to have so much more on the brakes. Nathan does. But yeah, I think Chill was just very bitter as he's passed now by Rick and turn 1. There's 3 wide. Tinkan, Noah, Dara, the 2 Alpines going at it. Dara goes so wide through 1, and Tinkan, he beats the back of Noah. Dara concedes the place. Tinkan's through, and can Tinkan get past Noah now? This is like Formula 4 racing. We've got Rex and Chill's still going at it, elbows out towards him. And look at Rick pulling out on Dara now. So late to the braking zone. Tinkan's through on Noah. Rick pushes Dara to the wall. Rex is through, and Rex going to get past Rick now as well around the outside of 4, is he? And they're side by side. They're going 2 by 2 by 2. And Chill and... I'm not even going to bother trying to explain what happened there because I have no idea. And J. Cole's fancying a move in all of this. Side by side through 5 and 6 is Chill and Dara. Chill's push right to the extremes of the wall there, and they collide, and that's wing damage. And Chill, that caps off a farcical lap for Chill. That was all his own making. And the point I was originally going to make is Chill was bitter about that move into 7, and because he was bitter, he just thought, you know what, I'm not letting you get past, and we're going to go side by side in the castle. Rightly or wrongly, whether Tinkan's move was okay, Chill's retaliation was absolutely unacceptable. That is not a move that I think any driver would condone. I think it's an idiotic lap from Chill. But I can't even begin to think to recap what just happened because I have no idea. But we've got Nathan passing J. Luke for PT.
Yeah, I honestly can't keep up there. I know that the first contact out of 4 was between Chill and Dowie, and then Dowie almost returned the favour a couple of corners later further up the field. Nathan's got past J-Luke. Nathan is up into 2nd place, and Funky Chicken has passed Forza Brendan in the process as well. So, that is major for this race. Nathan passes J-Luke. Nathan is now our net race leader here. So, as it stands, our net podium is Nathan, J-Luke, Funky Chicken. It's these 3 as it stands for the race win. Calvin's still disappearing at the front of the field, but now Nathan with the fresher tyres can try and chase him down. The problem here for Nathan, of course, is those tyres are going to wear off by the end. Till retires in the pit lane. That's his race over and done with. Nathan, his tyres are going to, fall away by the end of the race. He's got no ERS, neither does J-Luke. Funky Chicken has more than them. Forza Brendan's trying to cling on, but can't. And RJ's now right on the back of this queue as well. They are now 5 seconds clear of this whole gaggle of cars that are running for 7th place. So, a real fight here on our hands. As it stands, Nathan in the lead, but he's got to hope that those soft tyres hold on towards the end of the race.
Yeah, but he'll know he needs to overtake on track. He'll see a 5-second penalty and think, and if someone's around in the car, so that's Funky Chicken.
Oh.
No, Chicken, the most likeable man in LOE. Oh, that's devastating for him, and it promotes everyone up through the places. Tin Can up into 6th. But actually, Tin Can's you said he was 5 seconds off. He's now 4.3 behind. Tin Can flying on this lap. He's taking time out of RJ hand over fist through the middle sector. So Tin Can could yet catch up to these guys. He's not in no contention for the win or the podium, but he could yet catch RJ and Brendan. I think Brendan is going to lose another place here to RJ. His slow fall through the field continues, and Nathan's not catching Calvin, is he? You said about the tyres might be going off. 1.5 it was, 1.5 it remains, and it could even come towards J-Luke here.
It could, yeah. Both of these drivers have no ERS. There goes RJ past Brendan. I think the reason why Brendan and RJ lost time to Tin Can is because they were behind Chicken in the castle section. So they had to slow right down in the castle section to avoid hitting the Aston Martin. So that may be where some of the time... Yeah, that may be where some of the time has gone. But, of course, Tin Can still does have an opportunity to close back in. But the problem for Tin Can here is he's got both of the Alpines chomping at the bit to try and get past him. Noah and Dara really pushing the issue at this point in the race. Yellow flag, that's Funky Chicken in the pit. So within the space of 2 laps, the 2 Aston Martins have had absolute disasters, and they are both out of proceedings. Now further down, Peter Gillis has got the moved on YHYY, and Peter Gillis at the safety car restart was, well, almost stone dead last, and is now nearly into the top 10. So he's been, I think, probably counting his lucky stars at the safety car restart, that pretty much everyone around him seems to be falling by the wayside. So early phases of the safety car restart working well for the soft runners. Still though, through the middle part of the lap, Nathan can't close in on Calvin. I don't know whether this is the softs already starting to go off, or whether Calvin is just that fast that he's able to hold the lead, because Nathan has no ERS and is still burning his ERS in the middle part of the lap to try and close in. Calvin has so much more that any time Nathan gains in the middle and the end part of the lap, Calvin's just going to regain down the straight by not derating.
Yeah, Calvin's managing his ERS nicely. You're using it for a second or 2 out of turn 16, and then he's fine. White and Pig trade places as they exchange them into turn 1, and they exchange them again. And J. Cole's actually going to go on Pig into turn 16. That is a cheeky little place to try and overtake. It's a very short braking zone, and J. Cole's just going to tuck in, I think. And he's got less ERS actually, and he has to back out. And Darry nearly does hit the back of J. Cole in the middle of those kinks. Not a place where you want to come into contact with another car. And J. Cole very nearly making that move stick. He's going to have to back out of it. Passe is just following these three, hoping for some kind of collision. J. Cole's derating, and J. Cole, from nearly passing Peter Gillis, has ended up losing a place to Darry, and Peter Gillis trying to have a go back on YHYY and nearly spinning his car there on the exit curve, that high sausage curve on the exit of turn 1. And he's round into the wall.
Well, I hate to say
Good
it,
360
but
there.
yeah, I hate to say it, but the weekly events of Peter Gillis seem to have continued, unfortunately, dropping the car on his own, coming out of turn 2 and into the wall, when more contact further down. Passe, I think, has had to... I don't know, YHYY's lost places there. I don't know if he's desynced or something, but Passe, YHY and Jacob were all ghosted for a second there, so I don't know if they've maybe all had contact at turn 3. Passe and Jacob, by the way, have already... I think they were 2 that came together at the start of this race at turn 3. I think they just came together again at turn 3, so those 2 have been in the walls with each other in this race. Passe's got up into 12th place. Ooh, a little bit of contact.
Noah just hit the wall, and he's hit the wall again. He clipped the inside through turn 11, I think it was, and then he lost it on exit at 12. His teammate passed him. He might have damage out of that, not sure, but yeah, Noah just hit the wall there.
Yeah, hit the walls, let Dara through, so can Dara close back in on Tin Can? Tin Can now a little bit on his own. He's still closing back in on Brendan in front, and he will get him on penalties as it stands, but of course, like we've mentioned many a time, Tin Can needs to be in the top 2 to stake this championship on to the next round, which he is not doing at the moment. And still, Nathan cannot get in Calvin's DRS zone. As it stands, Calvin with that penalty, still Nathan would win this race. but he just can't get close enough to win it on track at the moment. And it's not out of the question that he could come under pressure from J-Luke here. As it stands, it's a sole fight at the moment, as it stands, between Nathan and J-Luke for this win. RJ's just a bit too far back. Dara's still in 7th. His teammate trying to come back at him in towards turn 1, didn't get the move done, and Rikurit couldn't capitalise either. And they're just dropping away from Tinkan more and more now. So it does look like the soft tyres are just starting to wear off as Dara actually lets his teammate back through.
And Rick threw in the process. I don't think Dara intended to let Rick go, but he's let Rick go, and he hanged that out much longer than he needed to, but I think he's made it work. Pit Gillies retires in the pit lane, and Dara, that is not on. He let his teammate go, realised he'd made a mistake, and he'd let Rick go as well.
He's going to do it again. Oof.
That is not on from Dara, and not once but twice nearly with Rex. Luckily, they're side by side, but I don't think Rex is in any mind to let Dara get away with this. They're going to go side by side to turn 8. Rex backs out, but he gives Dara a little tap there, intentional or otherwise. I don't think it was intentional, but he gave Dara a little tap as Dara braked for the castle, and it was just enough to knock the Alpine off kilter and into the wall. And again, we're seeing a few drivers have really miserable laps today. Chill had one of them. That was another one from Darren. That move on Rick was not on.
Yeah, that was really, really messy. Standards, unfortunately, have dropped quite heftily. That was Noah. Yeah, Noah's dropped it coming out of 16 now. So both Alpines in the same lap have had a disaster. It was the Aston Martins earlier on. Now it's the Alpines, so that is no front wing for Noah at all. So he's going to plummet now. He's going to have to come back into the pit lane. That promotes Dari now into the top 10. And J-Luke's passed Nathan. J-Luke has passed Nathan on that lap. They're now 2.6 seconds behind Calvin. So Nathan really struggling on those soft tyres, it seems, that J-Luke's been able to get past. Can Nathan re-pass him? I don't think he can. Nowhere near close enough down the back straight. Has Nathan got any damage?
Dara and Dari.
Dara
smacked Dari into turn 1. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but Dara hit the back of Dari, whoever's fault it was. Dari was sent flying into the wall. Dara has come out of it with no front wing, but yeah, Dara punted Dari there in the rear. And, well, yeah, that is the reaction, isn't it? That is that's the correct way to respond to that.
I was going to say, that's kind of been the reaction for the second half of this race, really, hasn't it? It's just many sizes. Dara then nearly drives into the wall completely on his own with half a front wing. It's been a real mess after the safety car restart of driving standards. You've got to say, the only people with the driving standards that have gotten away with it at the moment are the top 5, because they weren't in all of the mess at that time. So yeah, a little bit crazy stuff. Calvin leads still. The gap's up to 3 seconds now, so Calvin is trying his absolute hardest to win this race, even with a 5-second penalty. J-Luke's trying his hardest to close back in on fresher tyres, as Dara puts it in the wall in the castle section now. But 3.3 seconds now. J-Luke is losing time here, nearly a second a lap. Nathan's tyres are done for. It looks like he's barely able to keep up with J-Luke, and lost so much time on that last lap. It's not out of the question. If Calvin has a very strong next 2 laps, as Dara's retired on the road, if Calvin has a very strong final 2 laps here, Calvin could still win this race.
He absolutely could. And win it on track as well. I mean, the 5-second penalty, it's up to the stewards whether that one gets removed. We need to see what happened in terms of the slowing through the castle, what the reason was for that caused that. But yeah, absolutely, Calvin can very much win this on track with the 5-second penalty added to his time, 3.3 as it is right now. And if Nathan can get back at J-Luke just a touch, it will it'll slow them down enough to think that Calvin will run away. But I think you're right, the softs are going off, because Brendan now very much in range of RJ, and Rick and Rex are side by side through 3. Rick's made that move into 7th place. Nicely done for the Finn. The race promised better for Rick. I don't think Rick's really done anything wrong, but somehow he's found himself down in 7th place in the middle of God knows where, just him and Rex by themselves. Dara leaves the session. Thank goodness for that one.
Yeah.
And Brendan had nearly tapped the wall there. He had a slapper on through turn 8. Not a place where you want to hit it, and just one of those moments that makes your heart go, where you nearly think you've lost it, and then you just escape with it. And Rex has passed Rick through turn 12.
Yeah, I don't know if it's made a mistake somewhere through the castle section there, but yeah, Rex up into 7th position at the moment. But we're coming on to the final lap of the race. Calvin on this lap I don't think's done enough to pull away enough from J-Luke. In fact, he's not pulled away at all from J-Luke. J-Luke still nearly J-Luke understeering into the wall there, but it's 3.8 seconds at the moment. It's going to take a mega final lap from Calvin and a mistake from J-Luke for Calvin to win this race. What this is doing, though, J-Luke dropping Nathan means that as it stands right now, Calvin would still finish second, which is a great recovery from that penalty. As here comes Brendan down the inside of RJ up towards turn 1, very late on the brakes, nearly runs into the back of the McLaren. We've seen that a couple of times in this race, where Brendan has thought about as Tin Can's going to go down the inside at turn number 2. They make a little bit of contact on the way into the corner. Brendan almost has to give the corner up so that he doesn't put into the wall there. Can Brendan come back at Tin Can down towards turn number 3? He can around the outside. He almost side drafting like a NASCAR down towards turn number 3. Tin Can on the inside, Brendan on the outside. They make a little bit more contact. Brendan will have the inside line for 4. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Can he keep it out of the wall? Yes, he can, but he's a little bit deep into the corner. Tin Can's going to go around the outside and get up into 5th place on the road at least, but at that stance, that's not enough for the championship. That was a little bit messy again. Brendan gets away with it, and RJ, I think, there maybe has just lucked out of losing a 4th place in this race, but coming up with just a sector to go, Calvin's done enough at least for 2nd, but J-Luke here looks like he's on for a win.
I don't think RJ has done enough, and I don't think Nathan's necessarily done enough, because Nathan is so slow through 10, 11 and 12. Look how close Tin Can is to this. Tin Can can get RJ on the line, Bottas and Stroll 2017 style. I think Nathan might just save RJ's bacon, because Nathan is tragically slow through the middle sector of this lap, but well, we'll see whether Nathan hangs on in front of RJ, because RJ could get Nathan here, yeah.
Yeah, he could. We're coming up to the line, though. Calvin coming down the back straight for the final time. He will win on track, but it's going to be J-Luke that's going to pick up his first win in a long time. Calvin crosses the line to win on track. J-Luke wins for the first time in Division 3. There we go, across to the line. RJ is going to get Nathan on the line. RJ gets another podium from the back of the field. Then RJ up into 3rd place. Nathan holds 4th by a 10th of a second over Tin Can in the end. Further down, Brendan drops down to 8th with that penalty. Rikurik and Rex were able to capitalise. They get up to 6th and 7th. Brendan drops to 8th. That is one of Brendan's worst results this season, but despite that, Brendan is our Division 3 champion. He put a lot of stress on himself in that race. He hadn't got the pace that we are used to seeing, but unfortunately for Tin Can wasn't able to quite do enough in that race to keep it going.
I think Tin Can did his absolute best. He got his elbows out, as I like to say, every available opportunity. That move on Chill, prime example. But Brendan did what he needed to do, and it was all he needed to do. He's champion, and deservedly so. I wouldn't dare say there's anybody in League of Europe who would deny him that title or say he didn't deserve it. He has been outstanding, one lap and race all season long. What a champion!
Yeah, what a champion, like you say, to win it with 2 rounds to spare as well. It's not the most dominant win in League of Europe, but it is still a brilliant championship performance from him. Nothing to say against Tin Can and Corin Robb. They've put up a good fight, but the consistency that Brendan has had throughout this season has just been too much for those two to match. And Brendan is our Division 3 champion in 2 seasons now, 2 championships. So Brendan D4 moved up to D3 this season and has done an amazing job. That's running through, though, the full results here after what was a fairly chaotic Baku Grand Prix, Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We'll say J-Luke is our race victor then. Calvin does still come home in 2nd place despite that penalty. We'll see if he gets that penalty removed, but it might not happen for him. RJ on the podium in 3rd. Yet again, another podium for the McLaren man. Nathan 4th for the 2nd week in a row from 19th on the grid, by the way. 19th on the grid without a time in qualifying. He finishes 4th. A good result from him. Tin Can 5th ahead of Rikurik, Rex, Brendan, J. Cole and Passe, who was running at the very back of the field. 30 seconds off the pack, ended up inside the top 10. White in 11th, and Matt picks up the final points in 12th. Brent 13th with the fastest lap, but that point won't count because he is outside of the points. Dara, the first of our retirees after a very messy race. Dari out of the race after contact with Dara. Noah retired as well after a spin. Peter Gillis also after a spin. Funky Chicken also after a spin. Chill after an absolute madness in the middle part of the lap. And in the middle part of the race, and Luke with a crash early on in the race as well. Fairly, like we said, race of attrition, absolute chaos that race, you've got to say, the second half especially. But in the end, those that finished at the front of the field were at the front for the majority of that race anyway.
Yeah, I mean, our top 4, you say that, but our top 4 came from 6th, 11th and 19th. But there were a few drivers I want to give shout-outs to. I think Rick was unlucky, Rex was unlucky, YHYY at one point looked like he was on for a really strong result, and then somehow ended up 11th, and I have no idea how he ended up there. And a few disappointing performances, which we don't like to see. Dara and chill on putting black spots next to their name for today's race. They were very naughty. But yeah, that was a bonkers race, mainly for the wrong reasons. But yeah, it was entertaining to watch at the very least.
Yeah, entertaining to watch. I don't know how fun that was to drive for well, anyone in that race. I would say I don't know if that was pretty much that much fun, and I think that's just another case for me to say to blow this track off the face of the planet. I think that's just my case on it. But we have got some of our finishers then into the party, and our race winner, Jay Luke, is in the party. Well, coming into Division 3 this season, this is not something I didn't think we would ever see, is Jay Luke in the party after a podium. You've only been back in the league for, 4 races now, I believe? This is your 4th race back, and you've picked up a win in brilliant fashion. How was that from your side of things?
It was really crazy, man, honestly. I did not think I would be able to stick with Calvin by the end of the race, that's for sure.
Yeah, obviously Calvin with that penalty at the end, that of course did help you. Talk us through kind of the early phases of the race, because you were by far the person to stay out the longest on the soft compound tyres. Were you assuming that other people were doing a 2-stop, or did you think that staying out on the softs was the better strategy to have fresher tyres at the end?
I just wanted to go for the soft medium track, the 1-stop, so just to stand out on the opening stint so that I can be better in the second stint was my plan. But obviously a couple of laps after I pit, the safety car came out, so that helped a bit.
Yeah, definitely did help in the end. Of course, that safety car, you restarted, I believe, in 3rd behind the 2 Red Bulls in the end, and you got past Forza Brendan very quickly. How crucial do you think that was for your race to get past Brendan before the DRS was enabled?
It was very crucial because I don't think I'd have either got past him or just getting second, let alone first, would have been impossible if he was still there.
Yeah. Yeah, so brilliant from you in the end to get past Force Brendan, and of course get past Nathan in the latter stages. Like I said, it's been a short D2 season for you so far, and you've already picked up a win. We've only got 2 rounds left in the championship, but how are you feeling about the last 2 tracks? Is there one of those 2 tracks stand out to you as something that you think you could succeed at again?
Which tracks is it again?
We've got Japan and Brazil to finish off the season.
Oh, Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil looking like the one.
Track. Yes, very good track.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, me and Jake maybe won't give our opinions on that. But Jake, is there anything you wanna ask?
Yeah, well, congratulations on the win, firstly. But second, were there any points where you thought you could get Calvin on track, or were you always feel like, nah, he was too quick for you? Or did you think you could catch him and you could pass him? Because you did have 3 lap fresher tyres than he did.
At the end of the first stint, I thought I might have been able to catch him when we were still on the softs. But after the restart and everything happened when I was back close to him, no, he was just too quick. We were either on the same pace or he was just too quick. So no chance on track.
Yeah, brilliant stuff in the end though from yourself to keep within penalty range of Calvin, and congratulations on your first win of the season. We could see you back on the podium, maybe in Brazil, maybe not Japan by the sounds of it, but we'll wait and see. Congrats on your win tonight. Thanks for joining us in the party. We'll move on to our 3rd place finisher. I think Calvin unfortunately hasn't joined the party, so we'll move on to our 3rd place finisher, and he's back on the podium. He took a week off and he's back again. RJ, how are you feeling after that one?
I have no idea what's just happened in that race, to be honest. I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, you and me the same, mate. I think after that one, no clue. I was going to ask you, how are you feeling about that race? Obviously, from your side of things, you don't remember much of what happened because so much did happen. For what you do remember, how did you feel that played out? Obviously, at the start didn't go too well for you. You were the lead person on the medium tyres at the start and you dropped a few places. Where were you initially expecting to end up without that safety car?
I thought 8th, 7th. I expected, wherever I start, basically take away with clean race, wherever I start, take away like 3. So 7th or 8th.
Yeah.
I was expecting that, and I got a bit messed around on the first lap, 3 wide in turn 2, which I didn't want to be, and lost out to those positions. So without the safety car, probably back end of the top 10 at best, really.
Yeah, and of course that safety car then did play into your hands quite nicely, and the end of the... Well, you went on to the softs, and of course you did seemingly a better job at Nathan of managing the soft compound tyres by the end of that race. How were the softs at the end of that race? Were they good for you at the end of the race, or were you really struggling on them like Nathan?
They were horrible. I nearly crashed at the final corner. Um, and I had Tin Can behind me. I said to him, "I'm gonna have to lift through this corner, otherwise I am crashing." And I lifted and still almost crashed. So the tyres were horrible. The gap to me was probably about 1.5 seconds at the end. It was horrible. But I just about survived. But the benefit was me. I was not pushing really because I was behind Chicken, and then until Chicken went round, had. I don't know if Nathan was still in that train or had departed, but I was behind people, not pushing, so it allowed me to save my tyres. And at the end, I just had enough.
Yeah, just had enough in the end, but like you say, just had enough to get back onto the podium for, I think, is that your, if I'm not mistaken, that is your, I think, 4th podium in 5 rounds. So you've been on a real run of form recently. It's been a great few rounds for you. Championship-wise, looking for you, of course, you were 9th coming into this round. You're now on, 91 points after that race. You are only 1 point behind Brent and just only 10 points behind Luke. So realistically, you've got to say for you, a top 5 in the championship, not out of the question.
I'm looking at it, but annoyingly, Calvin outscored me today. So that's the main one. I want to beat Calvin because I know I can do it. I had the lead, so anything else is a bonus at this point.
Yeah, anything else is a bonus, like I say. Of course, it's only 3 points, so you do still keep the position over Calvin by 3 points. But like I say, it is a little bit closer now. So that's really going to tighten up for you, Jake. Is there anything you wanna ask?
Yeah, very much following on from what you're saying. So J. Cole didn't score great today. Brent didn't score great today. Luke DNF'd. Chicken DNF'd. You could even get 4th, conceivably, the last 2 races. That's now 4 podiums in 5 races. Are you the Season 7 D3 champion?
In my head, but there's a long way to go to that. But it's
Very
the
modest.
plan.
I see no reason why not. I mean, you're in cracking form. But I said at the start of stream last week, you can't keep living off poor qualifying performances. One day it will come and bite you in the backside. So you need to sort out that quality pace.
I thought I had a good qualifying today, actually.
Yeah, P11 good by his standards, by the sounds of it. But
lap.
I mean, you say you can't live off of those performances, and it's exactly what I do as well. So I'm not going to say anything about you living off of crazy races because it works for me as well. But congrats on another podium. We might see you back at some point. I'll be shocked if we don't see you again at some point before the end of this season. But congrats on your 4th podium. And to finish off, instead of having Calvin, we've got the other Red Bull in the party, our Division 3 champion with 2 rounds to spare, Forza Brendan, in probably the most unorthodox way, and in a way that you probably didn't want to happen. Only 8th place in that race. That's probably one of your worst finishes since Spain, but you still pick up the championship. How was that from your side of things?
That was awful. That was the worst race I've ever done. That was absolutely atrocious. So it's actually official then. I've actually won the championship, or like I have no idea what's going on. Like, is it actually official?
It is official, yeah. So if you didn't finish any higher than
Okay.
6th, then Tin Can needed to finish inside the top 2 to carry on to the next round, which of course Tin Can wasn't able to do. So yeah, you are officially D3 champion.
Yeah, I wish I'd have known that when I was racing, because I was basically telling the guys it was so anticlimactic and like in the party chat, because I just was like, oh crap, I got this penalty which I got under the safety car. And like I knew I was going to get it removed, but I thought I'd have to wait until the steward reports came out before I could actually celebrate. But that's actually insane. Yeah, I mean, what a race! Like that was just one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. It was so chaotic, and kind of driving standards weren't great from everyone around me. I was just kind of like cursing the track more so than the people around me, because it's such a chaotic. Just the chaos that this track gives. I knew when I saw it on the calendar, I just was like, this one's going to be a real bogus track in the calendar. So if I won it this way by staying on medium tires and staying ahead of people that were on fresher tires, then that was just an insane way to do it, because like it's crazy. I was kind of watching Lewis Hamilton's race in Turkey actually, where he was on the intermediates. And I kind of felt like halfway through this race, I was like, I'm going to need to have that kind of race if I'm going to try and do this. Like, so, because I knew the penalty was going to get removed anyway, but
yeah,
I'm just relieved. I'm just so happy it's over, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say from our side of
Ah,
things that did look very stressful. Of course,
hmm.
unfortunately for yourself tonight, P7 on the grid, and which is your worst qualifying by the way since Singapore. We found out during the stream, so you've been on a real run of form. Obviously, this track seemingly didn't suit you tonight, and obviously, of course, that penalty and that safety car not playing into your favour in the end. Without that safety car, where do you think you realistically could have finished in this race? Do you say?
Oh, it was difficult to know at the time because so I know so it was myself, Calvin, Tin Can, and Rick that were up ahead. I just didn't know where we were on track. I knew Tin Can and Rick were definitely going to be up on the podium.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if it was going to be a case because there was a few guys ahead of me that I saw on the mini map, and I just didn't know if they were sort of back markers or if they were the medium runners that were staying out longer because there was just a train forming. But I think, to be honest with you, I knew coming into this track, it was the same at Singapore. I hate street circuits. I'm absolutely dreadful at them. There's no flow to them, which is just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
This track especially, but Singapore as well. Monaco is a little bit different because there's a lot of flow to it, and it's actually good to actually race at times. Which I hope I'm not the only one who thinks that. I probably am. I'm the only one that likes Monaco, but I think, to be honest, maybe top 5, I think realistically is what I was aiming for. I kind of came into this race and just knew that I just had to drive the car. I just knew that I kind of felt Mexico. That was where I kind of let all the emotions come out. So I knew coming into this one that I just had to drive it, and I'm glad I did because it sort of calmed me down before the race a little bit more, and it was yeah, it paid off in the end because I think I definitely needed that kind of calmness like after the safety car because that was chaotic. That was one of the worst. I felt like I was driving a rally car at the end. It was just absolutely undrivable. But
Yeah.
I'm glad I made it in the end. So
Yeah, glad you made it to the end. And just quickly, before we round off tonight, before we round off the stream and get ready for D2 and D5, what would you say has been your biggest highlight of the season? Of course, D3 champion now with 2 races to go. What's been your favourite part of the season?
um, I would have to say probably the race, the second race, like at the Circuit of the Americas. I just felt that race. I just sort of that's where it all kind of clicked, I think, and I sort of because Bahrain was awful. That was just a really really rough ride to actually start off the championship, and I knew coming in to that race that I just was like I have to just be perfect every single race, and that's the attitude I feel I've carried along with me this whole time. And that's where it all clicked. It really was, and it was such a fun track to actually drive as well, and I think I won it by like 11 seconds in the end. I think so. It was a lot of fun. So I think that race because it kind of ignited everything. I would say that was my my highlight of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a good one. That's definitely one that stands out to us as well. By the way, that was 14 seconds you won that race by, so you actually undersold your performance. So, yeah, congratulations to yourself. Jake, any last thing you want to add?
Yes. Amazing season. Congratulations.
Thank you.
One word answer. Rate out of 10. How happy are you?
10.
Love
Beautiful.
that.
Beautiful. Nice
But
and
can
easy.
I also just say one more thing? I just want to say, because I meant to actually say this to you guys. You two guys have been the actual standouts, I think, in commentary this season. I just wanted to actually say that because Jake is the James Hunt of League of Europe commentary. He sounds like him as well. And Aidan, you've just taken such a huge step in like in commentary, and so also the effort that you guys put in as well to this league. Like I just wanted to say that because it's been. Well, actually, that's also one of my highlights. Has actually been speaking with you two like every single race almost. It has been a lot of fun, and to actually kind of see you guys grow just over the season as well has been really cool. And I think you guys, if you don't win some kind of award or something at the end of the season, I will be I will be very angry in the general chat if you don't somehow do it. So I just wanted to actually say that. So
well, thank you very much. We
Thank
promise
you.
anyone that's still watching, we promise we didn't pay him to say that. But thank you so much, Brendan, for your kind words. And,
No
and
worries, guys.
like Jay said, congratulations on an amazing season. Hopefully we'll
Thank
probably
you.
see you win the party again in one of the last 2 races, or maybe both. But yeah, congratulations
so.
on your second LOE championship, and
Cool,
yeah,
thank
good luck
you.
good luck for the next race as well. So that is where we're going to
Thanks.
round off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in for a crazy race to say the least. Tune in to the League of Europe YouTube channel in about 5 minutes time. Divisions 2 and Divisions 5 will be getting going, and you can tune back in to these streams. Of course, you can watch back Division 3, Division 4 and Division 1 that all took place while this race was going on. And we are back this time next week, 6:30 on Saturday, for round 16, the penultimate round of Season 6 from the Japanese circuit of Suzuka. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in tonight, and we will see you in a week's time. Goodbye.